had no idea on day one, when I was plugging a computer in, that I'd be here 20 years later and have achieved what we've achieved. And I'm so proud. I want the world to know about it.
Have you enjoyed it?
I've loved it. I've loved it because of the authenticity in terms of what I'm saying and my belief in this business. I've loved it. Hi, I'm Jason, and 20 years ago, I set up the CPS Group.
Jace, I've known you for about 11 years and I'd like to think I know you quite well. We all know the Jace in the office, but where did it all start?
Well, I was born and brought up in Cardiff. I'm a Cardiff boy from a very happy, good family with an older sister. Did all right in school, went to Leeds Polytechnic, and for those who don't know, Polytechnic used to be something that people went to when they weren't quite clever enough to go to university.
Showing your age, Jay.
Exactly that, but I thought I'd explain that. Studied French and finance, loved the French language, lived some time in France, lived in Paris for a year before coming back to find a proper job.
In your early life, was there any signs that you had that entrepreneurial spirit?
Absolutely none whatsoever. No, absolutely not. I can remember as a child my dad telling me, get a job in the Welsh office. It's secure and a job for life, and you don't have to worry about anything. Clearly, I didn't do that.
Okay, so I know that you had a recruitment career before setting up the CPS Group. Bring that to life for us. What was that all about?
When I was in my early 20s, I started in recruitment, and I actually recruited bin men for Cardiff Council. It was very different to what I'm doing now, but it was a good learning curve. And I did that for a couple of years. I then found a job in IT recruitment in Bristol, learning the trade as an IT recruiter for 6-7 years. Moved back to Cardiff during that time as well. And then just felt, do you know what? I can do this. I'd seen the good things and the bad things about IT recruitment. I'd seen what clients liked, what they didn't like, and I just felt, I suppose, like many people, I can combine the good things, don't do the bad things, and actually do it myself. So I did. Back then, the barriers to entry were really, really low. I just needed a computer and a telephone. Computer and a telephone.
I like Mr. Cardiff.
I just needed a computer and a telephone, and there was no technology, so it was relatively easy. I can remember the very first deal that I ever did. It was in the March of 2003, and I sent the invoice out to the company, to the client, and numbered it number 1. And I posted it, and I got a phone call back from the client the following day, laughing, saying, "You could have told us we were your first client." And I've still got a photocopy of the check that they sent for that.
They were the lucky ones, right?
They were.
So fast forward to today. So what is the CPS Group? What does it stand for? What are we all about?
So for many, many years, CPS Group was a lifestyle business. And there came a point where, looking at it and looking at the team around me, I felt, do you know what, there actually really is something here. And to not really see how far I could push that would have been the wrong thing. So the decision was made to really start investing in the company, investing in the people and the team that we've got in the business to really take it to the next level, I suppose. And where we are today now is a 50-strong business, turning over £30 million with a fantastic leadership team that genuinely I wouldn't want to not be around, and providing a great service to clients far and wide.
So what is the purpose? Why do we exist? What's our core purpose as a business?
That is something that has challenged me for a long time to try and understand that, because I really believe that just hiring people into a company to try and make more and more money and anyone can do that. Understanding why CPS Group exists was something that I had to get right. I had to understand it so that I could pass that through the business and could hire on that and get people to come and join us. And I got to the point where I understood that the purpose of CPS Group is to play a pivotal role in the personal growth and the professional development of everyone who positively contributes to our success. We've got a part to play in everybody, both personally and professionally.
So with such a defined purpose, what values define what the business actually is?
So let me take you back to when we were a lifestyle business. Values weren't a thing. Businesses didn't have values. They just had to make as much money as possible and employ people, and if they weren't good enough, get rid of them and bring more people in, and just trying to get from month to month. But times changed, businesses changed, people changed, and values started to become a thing, and understanding what our purpose was and then tying that into what our values were meant that people could be part of something that they wanted to be part of as well, and it wasn't just going into work every single day. So our values, it came from understanding what I believe are basic human instincts, which is based around effort, engagement, and respect. So what do those mean, and what are the behaviours that flow around that? Because it's the behaviours that's more important than the actual words themselves. So effort, as far as I'm concerned, going to work hard. That's what working for us is about. It's about not being afraid to put the effort in. I want to work for a business that really encourages effort. Alongside that was engagement. And this is a really interesting one, because you can ask people to engage in a business, but if you're not giving anything back, why should they? Why should somebody engage with their employer? It's what I like to think of the psychological contract. So you come and work with CPS Group, and you really engage well with this business because this business is engaging with you. You're actually getting something back. But the final one is, for me, probably the thing that holds everything together, which is respect. It is a basic human attribute. Respect the people you work with. Respect your clients. Respect your candidates, because all these have to come together in order to be successful at the job that we all do and we all love. So it's the behaviours around the engagement, effort, and respect that, for me, are the most important things.
So you talk really passionately there about people-centric business, which it clearly is. Talk to us about the core team. We've got a superb core team, I believe. Yeah. Bring that to life for us. What does it mean to you?
My team is everything. It is CPS Group. There is no doubt about it. I have done every job in this business, and I look around this company now and I see people doing some brilliant work, just on a different level to how I could do it.
That gets you up every day. What keeps you up at night, Jace?
Genuinely nothing. It doesn't. And it comes down to the people that I work with. I work with the best people I could ever imagine. And when you provide people with an opportunity to make decisions, when you provide people with an opportunity to drive themselves forward, and you see that time and time again they make the right decisions, time and time again they show the passion for the business that I show, then I've got absolute confidence in them. I don't worry about the quality of work that goes on in this company. I just don't.
Jason, we're going to ask a few members of our team what they think Jason Grandin is like as a CEO. How do you think they're going to answer that question?
Well, it depends who you ask, for starters. And it depends how long they've been with us.
What is Jason like as a CEO?
Pass. Can I pass this one?
No, you can't.
Yeah, Jason.
What can I say here? I'm allowed to go all out now.
Jason is hugely passionate about CPS Group, comes across every day. He's created something brilliant.
He is definitely the example of an open door policy type of CEO. I think the cube, it swings open all day long with people asking questions around literally everything, even about recruitment, to the point where he's like, look, I haven't been on the phone for a while, but I'll try and help.
Jason's great. He's been a mentor for me, alongside you yourself, in terms of everything that I've done here. But yeah, no, he's a good CEO, and he's someone that I really enjoy working with.
I'm going to sound like I'm sucking up now, but I'm genuine. This is my honest opinion of him. He's just lovely. He's so calm, really welcoming, really engaged with what everyone's doing, and he was like that as soon as I started. He is the grammar police, and I do recall him telling me to uninstall Grammarly from my laptop because it was wrong. But other than that, he's really calm.
So what's Jason like as a CEO then, Amber?
Jason has a very tough exterior, but he's a soft man inside. But he is the type of person that gets upset if a full stop is missing in a presentation.
The current version of Jason,
What, 3.0?
3.0, is a dream. Jason 1.0, however, was, let's just say, a different beast.
I can imagine that there will be people who've been with us a long time will probably have a few colourful words to say about the various different iterations that I've been as a CEO.
And one particular story about Jace I tell anyone who starts. Our suppliers used to send in stress balls. They were generally thrown around the office. I can remember one time in particular, an ill-timed thrown ball made its way in super slow motion at the time. Ball left me and went on to hit Jace square in the face.
Is this where I had to do
this story?
This is a fake telling off, Laura. I had to take you into a special room and pretend to tell you off, right?
Yep, fake telling off, and I didn't pick up a ball again for some time after that.
I'm much better now than I used to be. I'm better at my job than I used to be, so I would like to think that they will say that I'm good.
So Naomi, why did you join the CPS Group?
When I joined, I wasn't actively looking for a new role. I was still working in marketing recruitment. I was fairly settled where I was. I'd been there for a while, and I started speaking with Laura, our head of biz op. Just had a really, really good first impression. Everyone was really lovely. You could tell people wanted to invest in my skill. They made me feel really, really comfortable straight away. The impression I got couldn't have been better, and it sounds really cheesy and like I'm making it up, but I'm genuinely not. I just really wanted to be here as soon as I'd met everyone.
Why did you join the CPS Group?
There's a couple of reasons really. I came from a door-to-door sales background where I didn't have a concept of time, when you start, when you finish. I was flat out working till about 11 o'clock at night, and I will be honest, my work-life balance just wasn't there. For me, the main reason for this is the people. I've been fortunate enough to know the same core group of people at CPS and the contracts team. So I've been able to generate some real actual friends, not just colleagues, people I can actually spend some time with outside of work, etc.
Interesting story actually. I wasn't even looking for a new job. Hugh Price actually approached me. I was working in the same building as we're in now, on a different floor. He approached me as I was leaving work one day, told me about a new role that they were creating, and it sounded really interesting. So a couple of meetings later and here I was.
Yeah, wow. So I worked for an agency in Bristol, and my market at the time was working the South Wales market, and time again I kept coming against CPS Group. So strategically for my own career, it made sense that I joined CPS so that I could also work with the customers that they work with and use the customer base that I've got as well.
What was your first week on the job like?
The first week, I remember thinking it was the most senior role I've been in, so it was a step up for me. So I remember thinking, oh God, prove yourself, being really nervous. But something that I always remember I did get asked for really early on, I don't know if it was the first week, was that Jason asked me to design a graphic. And after I'd started, told me that he'd had 3 other suppliers try to do it for him, and he hated everyone that they had done, and thinking, no pressure, I'm new. It's the first thing he's asked me to do. I have to nail this. Like, this is like the first entry level. I can't mess this up. But thankfully, I got good reviews.
So when I first started, I guess it's changed massively. The atmosphere's completely changed. Obviously, the office has changed in terms of the layout. The main thing I think has changed most, we were very old school in our approach to the market, the way we would hire people, etc. For example, we would emphasize, at least 2 hours on the phone, 40 dials, coming in early, leaving late, and really sort of enforcing and pushing those standards. Whereas I felt that kind of created like a push-pull dynamic where majority of the consultants were up for it, and that small 20% of people weren't really up for it, and it created a bad sort of environment. So I think over the last few years we've adjusted that, and we focus more on coaching, sort of the reasons why we do 2 hours on the phone, the reasons why we do 40 dials a day, or why do we come in early, why do we leave? And I think that gives more clarity to, especially the new person who comes in, understanding that, okay, so if I put the effort in, these are the reasons why, so I can keep repeating the process.
So can you tell us more about some of the reasons that CPS Group is such a great place to work?
I think it's, and I guess loads of people say this who work here, but it's the culture, and it really is. Like, having worked at quite a few different recruitment companies myself, I've been searching throughout my whole career in recruitment for somewhere where I felt at home, and I can honestly say that I feel at home here, and I really do.
Brilliant. Jake, you're an established member of the executive board, helping drive decisions that shape the business moving forward. What's that meant for you in terms of upping your game, I guess?
Yeah, good question, Joe. So it's part of the job that I love most. It generally is. So I'm no longer a billing consultant. I can't, I can still do the process if you give me a job to film, what have you. But what I get most enjoyment out is actually making this a better place to work. Being on the exec board has meant that I've been able to add value to this business by bringing ideas from previous experiences to try and make it the best possible place it can be.
So, Amber, what makes CPS Group special for you?
I've always had significant support from CPS Group. They've never let me down. They support me through the hard times and they clap me for my achievements.
Support is a big thing with me. Supporting my journey within the business, and we try and replicate that and support everybody else as they go through the business as well.
Everyone here really does respect everyone, and the thing that stood out to me straight away was that you could be the biggest biller in the business, someone on the exec board, or someone in a support function, and the level of respect doesn't fluctuate. It is one team, everyone really does work towards the same goal.
It's a mixture. I think I've evolved over the years in not just my role but as a person as well, and I think CPS has as well. The way that they look after their people for me is really important. I've been through some of the biggest challenges in my personal life in the 12 years that I've been at CPS, and for that reason I think it's really special, because I know that you and Jason, the guys, have all really kind of looked after me in that time.
What is the common myth about your job?
Oh, I love these. Just sit on social media all day. And one thing I do love is, can you just jazz this up for me? Like, I'm not a jazz it upper. I'm so much more.
Yeah, so common myth of a recruitment consultant is that we put a job advert out and loads of people apply for it. It's really easy, and all we do is send a CV to a customer. It's just so much different. I think whenever I speak to my nan, and she asks me, what do you do as a day job, Jake? You just find people jobs. It's well easy. And she always says, oh, why don't you speak to Luke? He can come and do your job, and he's my cousin. I'm like, nah, it's a bit more complicated than that. We actually do a lot more on a day-to-day basis. So I think for non-recruitment consultants, it's actually the value that we add for customers, how we help candidates, how we find them, how we aid them through the process, and all that extra work that we do to actually ensure that we find the right people for our customers.
So Pricey, are you excited for the future of CPS?
Of course I am. Particularly that we have a quite robust 5-year plan. Having the confidence around the folk that I work with, from our junior, newest members of staff through to our exec board, and being well led by our board and our CEO Jason, it's going to be tough, right? A 5-year plan is quite stretchy. There's a lot of growth expectation for a lot of individuals. But knowing that we've got the capability, the stones, the minerals to actually achieve that is probably the most exciting thing.
I think we've got the best structure we've ever had. I think we've got 12, 13, maybe 14 people in the business now who aren't billing. We've got a better structure than we've ever had before, in my opinion.
I think the support and the management here at the moment is just it's the best it's ever been.
Yeah.
I can see me being here for the rest of my career, and I can see lots of, there's still so much that we want to do. Even as a 20-year-old business, there's still so many good plans in place, moving forward. So it does excite me, and I'm excited to be part of that as well.
Thinking, what we can achieve in the next 6 months, the next few years is sky's the limit.
Growing in all areas. We're using new ways of working, upgrading our proposition, trying different methods in terms of recruitment. It's a hugely exciting time, so definitely looking forward to the future.
When you think back over the last 20 years, though, there must have been some hard times, right? So what was the lowest low?
This is really easy, and it's also really predictable. Any business owner, any employee, anybody that went through the pandemic and came out the other side will probably say the same thing. It was 2020, at the beginning of 2020. So I've got an overriding memory of standing up at our high desk where we have lots of meetings and talking to everybody, having just received the news in March 2020 that we had to send everybody home because the country was going into lockdown. We'd already lost a couple of people who were self-isolating, but I remember saying to everyone, look, you've got to go and work from home. So we'd rallied together and got some laptops and everything we needed to do. I said, but it's okay. It'll be for a few weeks, 2-3 weeks, and we'll soon have you all back and it'll be all okay. I got that one very, very wrong. It was a lot longer than that. The thing I'm probably most proud of was how we behaved as a business during the pandemic. I've talked about behaviour a lot. The business has to behave well as well. And we'd just come off the back of our best ever year in March 2020. And I'd been saying to everyone how proud I was of them. The pandemic hit, And I felt personally that I needed to support and protect and stop anyone worrying about their jobs. So a big decision was made, but it did make that big decision, which was decided not to furlough anybody. And we retained every single person on full pay throughout the entirety of the pandemic. So we all worked remotely. Nobody stopped work. We didn't let anybody go. And I'm really proud of that. I'm really proud of how we pulled together.
So you must have learned an awful lot about yourself in those dark pandemic times. To any aspiring CEO out there, what's the most important lesson that you've learned?
That's a really good question, and it's for me it's actually quite easy to answer as well. I'm very privileged. I've got a fantastic job, and I take my responsibility really seriously. And I've talked loads about improvements in the business, seeing people grow in the business, wanting more from people and never be ashamed of that, and wanting us to be better as a company. And the thing that probably drives that from me and has made me realise how important my role in that is that I've got to personally grow as well. The job I started 20 years ago in a startup was very different than the job I'm doing now. So I couldn't do my job in the same way that I did it back then. I couldn't do my job being the person I was back then. Any advice I'd give would be, look at yourself. Don't just expect other people to work hard for you. You've got to earn that respect. You've got to earn the respect by working hard yourself and growing and developing. And I'm sure if you ask a lot of the people who've been with us a long time how I've evolved as a person throughout those years, I'm a very different person now than I was years back. And I'm very proud of that.
So Jace, big lights on, big microphone. How's this been today? This is not normal. This is not the comfort zone, right?
It's not an average day in the group. It's not an average day in the life of CPS Group, that's for sure. No, it's.
Have you enjoyed it?
I've loved it. I've loved it because of the authenticity in terms of what I'm saying and my belief in this business. I've loved it. It's nice to be able to share, eh?
What, you really enjoyed talking about yourself?
Weird that.
Okay, great. That's not like that laughing. So Jason, why are we putting this together today?
So 20 years old. This business is 20 years old. I had no idea on day one when I was plugging a computer in that I'd be here 20 years later and have achieved what we've achieved. And you know, I'm so proud. I want the world to know about it. I want people to understand how great we are. For many, many years, we've been a secret. We've just done what we do and not made a big song and dance about it. And that's a crying shame because we're good at what we do. I want people to see what we do.
Jace, I wasn't entirely sure what we're getting ourselves into today, mate. But thank you. I've actually thoroughly enjoyed that, and it seems to me like you have too.
It's been brilliant. It really has.
Carry it, pal. That was epic. There we go, and that's a wrap.
How did that look?